A school where small miracles happen every day. That's next on a special Community Cares edition of Cablevision's Meet the Leaders. Good evening, I'm Dallas Grove. Collier School is just one of 6 distinct programs of Collier Youth Services located in Monmouth County. Collier School is a state-approved, private, nonprofit school for struggling students whose needs cannot be met within the public school system. With us is Raymond Bach, he's the school principal, and Brenda Considine, a parent volunteer with the school. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got very excited reading about the Collier School and the Collier Youth Services, which includes the school. But it also has a group home for teenage girls, a Collier house for young women, Cattery environmental and summer program. It's really a very full-service kind of thing for teens and teens at risk. And it has a lot of history. I understand the property, 260 acres, was left in 1927 by a woman named Collier.
Right.
Okay, so she left it to the Sisters of the Good Shepherd, and yet the school itself, which is our focus today, is non-denominational and non-sectarian. So
well, you know, we're sponsored by the Sisters of the Good Shepherd, so it is the mission of the Sisters of the Good Shepherd that we follow. But as you said, we're private, nonprofit, but we're also publicly funded. So the public funding means that all of our teachers are certified, highly qualified. The State Department of Education monitors us fiscally and programmatically. So we fall under all the regular guidelines of a public school in some ways, and yet we can also be alternative. And I think that that's what we're really best at, is providing an alternative for students whose needs, as you said, could not be met in the public school.
So it's more of a difference of philosophy and an approach to education, even though the core curriculum standards and such are all the same.
Yeah, I would say that. You know, the other thing I think is that in a smaller school like ours, we have the ability to really create an atmosphere that's conducive for learning and that's best for the students that we serve. So being able to do that, we really concentrate most on making sure that students feel welcome, give the students a sense of belonging. Those are the things that can go far in terms of being able to have a student really reach their full potential.
Tell us, if you will, how you came to be associated with the school.
Well, I started out as a special education teacher. I taught kindergarten to 3rd graders, students with emotional issues, and then had an opportunity for a year to work in a school that was similar to Collier, publicly funded, similar to Collier, and I had an opportunity to start a middle school. And that grew from about 10 students to about 40 students in the year. And during that time, the current principal at Collier High School was my college professor. And he had me come and see the place. I became very interested. I already knew about Collier. Collier had a great reputation. And then I started 25 years ago. And now, really full circle, I've had the opportunity to have a hand in starting a new middle school for the high school. So now we serve students grades 6 through 12.
And okay, so 6th, 7th, 8th, and high school. So we say high school, but it's really just Collier School now.
It's Collier School, right? We're one large program.
And Brenda, how did you become aware of Collier?
When my husband and I started looking for a school program for our son, he's 17 now, we looked far and wide, and we worked with a statewide association that represents a number of private schools. There's about 130 private schools statewide that serve kids with a range of disabilities. They've got an online network, and we just set out to find a program that would work for him, and we visited and toured and called and sat in classrooms, and although it's a long ride for us, this was just a perfect match for him.
And you say a long ride. Actually, Collier is not just from Monmouth County. Right. It's in a place called Wickatunk, which is part of
right.
part of Marlborough Township.
It's part of Marlborough Township in the heart of Monmouth County.
And on this wonderful campus-like setting. And your son has a long ride.
He does. He's got a long bus ride, but he catches up on his sleep and gets his homework done. Doesn't mind it.
The counties that can send their students to Collier, you have to limit it somehow, but
Sure.
it's still quite a few.
Well, really, any student could come to Collier from whatever county, but a lot has to do with the transportation and the distance. So the major counties that we service are Monmouth and Middlesex and Ocean County, Mercer County, Union County. There are some students as far as Cumberland, and some students that come as far as Montgomery and Hopewell, and down the Jersey Shore, Long Beach Island. We've had some students there that on Fridays their rides are pretty long when we get closer to the summer. But some students are close by. So
And Essex, was that?
Essex County is also one that we have some schools that send students to us.
So when you say they send the students to you, it's a cooperative venture between the sending school district and yourself. How does that work?
Well, the public schools are the ones that refer students to us, and they refer students to us if what they're trying to provide in the public school isn't enough. Sometimes they make the initiative to send the student to us, and sometimes it's a parent that makes the initiative. Like Brenda, there may be parents out there that are really looking for a different alternative for their child who's classified, and the public school services just don't seem to be enough for them to really thrive.
Were you able to easily get the school to say, I want to send my child to Collier School?
I have to say we've got a great district in Hopewell and a really good team working with us. We're fortunate. They were very much on our side, working with us, trying to find a school program that would be a good match for him, and supported us with the decision to send him to Collier. But I have to say that that's not the case for all parents. There are many, many families whose kids are not thriving in public schools, who really need an alternative environment like what Collier offers, and they have to really advocate hard. They need support and information even to find out about schools like Collier.
With the school board or where do you make your plea?
Well, there's the process itself that's supposed to begin with the school district's child study team. The parent and the team would talk about what would constitute an appropriate program for the child. And if there's a disagreement, the parent would then need to advocate. They may write letters requesting alternative programs. Some families even end up needing to go to court in order to get services and supports that their kids need.
And the term at-risk comes up for children who are at risk. Tell us in general terms what kind of population you serve at Collier.
Well, when I describe the students in our school, I would describe them as being very different from each other, and that's no different than in any high school. But there are some things that I would say that they have more in common. One is that they generally tend to be more sensitive, and sometimes that sensitivity puts them at greater risk for bad things happening in school or for them to really have difficulty when tough times come. The great thing about the students being more sensitive is that it's great to be the principal of a high school where students really have greater empathy for each other, for others that they serve. So that's, I would say that's one thing that's unique about our students. The other thing is that the average student at Collier High School has a higher IQ than the average student at any other high school. Our students tend to be bright, although we do have remedial courses and vocational courses for students who are bright or that's a good alternative for. They also, I would say, tend to look out for one another more. They've come from all kinds of school settings, some straight from the public schools, some from other private schools. They're all there, not necessarily for the same reason, but they're all there together, so they tend to create a better atmosphere. Their sensitivity tends to help them be more empathetic to new students. I know one of the questions that we talked about was what makes us different, and I would say that what really makes us different, I think, is the atmosphere that we set in the school. I think it starts with the teachers, and it trickles down to the students, and then really the students carry it. for the other new students who come to us. When I talk about with the staff, that it starts there. One of my social workers said to me, it's unusual to work in a place where everybody likes teenagers. And I think, I think there's some truth to that. I think the majority of adults may not like teenagers. And so to be in one place where everybody really likes teenagers, and then the staff that is attracted to work in a school like ours, like teenagers that may be more challenging or may have needs that may not be able to be met in a regular public school, I think that makes us a unique group to start with. And then the students themselves, their sensitivity, some of the experiences that they've had, which have not been so hot in the public schools or in other schools that they've been to, they make it a really welcoming atmosphere for the new students. And so I'd say, the atmosphere itself is something that's really different.
Yeah, one of the things I think that we found when we came to Collier is just that there's a concentration of talented people who are all there for the same reason, and you just don't find that in a typical public school environment. Even terrific public schools don't have all of their staff on the same page, interested in kids who learn differently and think differently. And that sort of whole school environment is one of the things that really made a difference for us.
The staffing is a very important thing to you. You have quite an unusual ratio of staff to student.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Right. Well, the average class size, and these are some things we looked at this week, the average class size is 5 students in a classroom, which is really an ideal educational setting. Generally, the classes are not larger than 9. We have over 50 staff that have direct care responsibilities to the students, 27 teachers, and 7 therapists. We have an administrative staff. We have other counselors and other positions that are dedicated to maybe the activities part of things, getting as many students involved as possible, making sure that students feel safe. We have a team of 3 professionals that are part of what we call our care team, creating a respectful environment, and that comes from our real concern to make sure that students feel safe. Some administrators sit on that. I'm directly involved with that myself. So we really have enough staff to create a ratio of approximately 2 students to every 1 staff member, which gives all the students an opportunity to know us, and it gives us an opportunity to really know the students. We make it our business to make sure we know every student by name.
You were very proud to tell me that you know the students by name and know a lot about them, and you're very approachable. The whole atmosphere sounds like it's very inclusive and approachable.
Well, you want students to be able to feel like they could ask to see the principal, or ask to see the vice principal, or ask to see their counselor. And so we try to make it as welcoming as possible in order to do that.
And your experience as a volunteer, what do you do in that capacity?
Well, just about every parent who's involved in the school in some way, shape, or form volunteers to the extent that they can. I'm working with Ray and the team at Collier to help make sure that more families learn about the school program, are aware of the scope of services and supports, and have the information that they need to advocate to get their sons and daughters into the program. I was telling Ray, I was at back to school night, and there were some new faces, and it was great to see new people, and there were some familiar faces. But when I drove home, I thought about all the parents who weren't there. The parents of kids who are in a school setting that's not working for them, whose kids are suffering, who are tremendously worried about their child's well-being. And I just, myself and other parents are really committed to making sure that folks know about the program and have the information they need to access it.